the wrestling world really lost a true innovator and of the cruiserweight division and the quote unquote hardcore style. Eiji Izaki passed away at the age of 47 years old after a tremendous career that resulted in him not being able to walk. So I'm going to talk about a guy giving the full faith and measure of everything he can give. He did it. You'll see traces of his legacy throughout the years in countless performers, from the cruiserweights of today, guys like Neville, and even to guys like Kalisto. Truly one of the most innovative cruiserweights there was, and we here at Slamcast salute Hayabusa for a life well lived and a career well performed. I think that's enough. Man, yeah, this was a really sad story to start the week off with, but it happened.
Yeah, he started to walk again, though.
It was, and it was a really truly sad story because he did start to finally recover from some of those injuries that he had suffered, and again, that clip that gets played over and over again of him answering the ceremonial 20 count. If you don't get a little choked up watching that, I mean, you're like, you must be an alien or a robot alien.
Well, in the end, it's like 2016 has been a year where we've lost so many people. So
yeah,
and it hasn't even. This year has only just begun.
Yeah, man. Again, I said it before. Talk about somebody who was one of the more influential, or I guess innovative cruiserweights. I mean, at that point in time, it was probably really only him and Liger doing the kind of lucha flips kind of stuff in Japan. I always called Hayabusa, and I don't really know if this is really fair to call him. I always called him Japanese Sabu. I mean, everything from the gear to the, moonsaults to, there's a lot of similarities. Even I thought at one point in time that Hayabusa was Japanese Sabu. Because, look, we got similar scars. Huge bucket of win, man. So, yeah, we're gonna. God, I gotta move on to something else. There was good news happen this week, though. Yes. We are. This is the Slamcast. We are joined, obviously, the dulcet tones of Michael Burhan.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back for the show.
Yes. Well, this is kind of like my birthday show, I guess. So I assembled, as many of the crucial hosts as we can. Miguel Leon is on the show.
Hey.
Hey. And as always, Nick Horaceck. Nick.
Yes. He's just celebrating my birthday last week, and now we got Brandon's.
Birthday Central. Well, technically we'll air this show will probably air later in the week. This weekend, this Saturday, is Roadblock on my official day of birth.
Yep.
So we'll talk about that a little later. We got so much news to talk about, though, because we have talked about it. Remember, we said it wasn't going away. It reared its ugly head again because now it has begun official legal proceedings. Hulk Hogan v. Gawker Media. I forget, this is in New York court, I think, right?
I think so.
I think so. I don't know off the top of my head, but Gawker is based out of New York, so that's why I'm assuming it is based vamp for fact. But I really just want, the trial began in earnest today, and that means they could start examining Hulk Hogan. And, we did get all the, just basically questioning him about wrestling and all that stuff. And I don't know what the legal terms that they were doing, of that the terms of good and bad, right and wrong are somewhat morally somewhat looser in the professional wrestling world, or whatever they were trying to do morally, paint Hulk Hogan morally as. I really wish that, somebody out there in the wrestling world on the internet took
St. Petersburg, Florida.
St. Petersburg, Florida. Thank you very much, Nick. It was
so it's in my neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
it's in your neck of the woods, eh?
You could probably hear him talk about the size of his character's dick.
Always keeping a kayfabe, that Hogan.
Oh man, yeah, he was keeping it very kayfabe. What I just really wished was that somebody could, splice together frames of the current trial happening today, the attorney questioning Hogan, and then Hogan responding in the form of promos from the 1990s and the 1980s.
Oh, you know, if the Daily Show were still around, that's exactly what they would be doing. I know it's still around, but I haven't seen it with the new guy. But Jon Stewart, as big a wrestling nerd as he is, would do exactly that.
There's got to be someone that's either working on that or hasn't yet done it, because, gosh darn it, that's just internet gold.
Is it true that a juror accused themselves because they basically were so upset that Hogan betrayed WCW and formed the NWO?
I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I did read that article. But if it's true, that guy is the greatest juror in the world. And if not, that is the greatest excuse to get out of jury duty ever. Is using Hulk Hogan's...
It's still real to them, damn it.
Is still real to them.
That has got to be rough, because you got to think the jurors are probably... I'd say maybe our age, maybe a few of them might be a little bit older or a little bit younger, but
you're still being called in for you're being called in for jury duty. It's not like, you're not having fun.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's so many. It's to a lot of kids, it's like being on a juror convicting Superman. It's like, how do you distance yourself from that character, which has pretty much been in the public limelight for the better part of 3 decades? I mean, the only other court case that I could think of that might be worse is whoever has to be the juror on the Bill Cosby cases.
Yeah,
If
if I'm the attorney doing juror selection in this trial, I mean, I'm asking people, are you aware of Hulk Hogan? No. Okay, you can't be a judge because you have your own personal opinion, or you can't be a juror because you have your own personal opinion about Hogan. So you're disqualified. Are you a wrestling fan? Yes or no?
Yeah.
That's
have you watched VH1 in the last 10 years?
Not even.
Right.
I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, I recuse myself from the Hulk Hogan Gawker case because I'm still pissed off on that Thunder in Paradise was actually a thing.
Yeah. I wasn't able to get my refund for Santa with Muscles.
Oh man, I want my refund for those classic Dungeon of Doom promos. It's not hot.
It's not hot.
That's not hot. There are no Hulkamaniacs here.
I recuse myself from this court case, ladies and gentlemen, as I just want to point out that I've seen the sex tape and I'm really upset over Hogan's performance. So just gonna leave that there.
He didn't put over Bubba's wife. I felt that he really sandbagged her.
No, again, when I was watching the tape, I was waiting for the Kevin Nash run-in or something like that. Come in, give him the big boot, jackknife powerbomb or something, or maybe the Undertaker.
I think he tore his quad at the front door. So
the Undertaker or something like that coming in. Where was it? Horace. I would have settled for a Horace run-in.
I was waiting
for a big guy wrapped up in bandages.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to admit the Skittles, the band Skittles commercial was more entertaining than the Hulk Hogan sex tape. It was just, it was disappointing.
Can I be serious for a moment? As somebody who's followed Gawker and a lot of the bullshit they've done with stuff like Kotaku, for instance, and especially Jezebel, IO9, all those sites, it makes me sad that this is what's going to finally take down Gawker. Not years and years of clickbaiting and, their political lean. It's going to be Hulk Hogan's dick that's going to take down Gawker, and it's very bittersweet. Not Hulk Hogan's dick. I don't know what that tastes like.
Or Bubba the Love Sponge's wife's vagina.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? What we can say is we can all agree that Hulkamania was not running wild at the time. So
No, I mean, you just put another thing if Gawker Media does go down because of this, it's just another thing that Hulk Hogan has, another entity that Hulk Hogan has jobbed to Hogan.
Of course.
I mean, look, he goes over clean in the end, man. That's how it works. Big boot and leg drops. Big boot and leg drop, man.
That creative control, man. It's that creative control.
That creative. Do you think he had the creative control clause in the Bubble of Love Sponge sex tape?
Look, I'm sure there's a way to settle this. I mean, of course, they brought up the trial. You know, it's reached a very negative point, but I'm sure they're probably going to be still willing to settle, and maybe give him $75 million or whatever or something. I don't know if Gawker.
I think he needs the $75 million. You know, Hogan's not in the best of ways these days, especially
now since he's persona non grata in the wrestling industry. Yeah, that's a thing.
Well, he did sell 2,000 tickets when he was in London to a 50,000 seat venue, but still, apparently that's a good thing.
But then again, it does sound like actually, that sounds better than TNA crowd.
I mean, that's what Hogan's been reduced to now. He's now just the independent performer.
And can I also say this? I don't know if I brought this up the last time we talked, but how amazing has it been that TNA has not tried to bring Hogan back in this? Like, well, Hulk, we heard you're low on cash.
They're not even that stupid at this point. They're not that stupid, and they don't have the money, and they're not.
Yeah, they're looking for investors now that Panda Energy isn't financing them anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Well, who better to get on your team for investors than Hulk Hogan?
If Hogan gets his $100 million, you damn sure better believe Hogan's going to look to buy a wrestling company.
You know what? No. I know what can single-handedly save Hogan's career. Think about it. The one thing that we haven't thought about that could actually turn this negative into a positive.
Zeus?
Why doesn't he just become Donald Trump's running mate? Think about it. Trump bashes the Mexicans and calls them all rapists and Muslims are terrorists. Hogan just has to go in there and say the N-word, and that's it, man. He's golden. They'll win the election.
No, Chris Christie's already going to be Trump's running mate.
Yeah, he's already the Yeti to Trump's giant.
No. He's the penguin to Trump's Joker.
I was just think in the news it was all about Trump's penis recently.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, you know,
let's just move on from President Donald Trump.
And people who can't properly take a Stone Cold Stunner.
Make America great again.
You know, if you guys end up having the Hunger Games over there, we will know why. Just root for your city.
Yep, my district, District 13.
The Republic of Florida.
Yep.
They still keep you in shape.
Yeah. Do you think this is gonna end well, guys, or do you think Gawker's gonna finally go down? Or
I think at the end of the day, I agree with Burhan. I think they're going to pay out the ass. I don't think it's going to be a situation where they're going to let themselves go to the end of the trial. I think they are going to just settle out of court, and I could see the end of several Gawker websites. I think the big ones are still going to be around.
Doug, it's going to be Deadspin. Gawker's going to be Deadspin and Kotaku.
Well, no, Jezebel, I think, is one of their bigger. It's one of their bigger websites. I think Lifehacker is pretty much going to be done. I can see the end of that. IO9 might be done. There's a few others that I can think of off the top of my head, but yeah, I think it's going to be Deadspin, Kotaku, and Jezebel.
Yep, that's about it.
Well, in the end of this whole situation, we know that Hogan's probably going to end up winning, but I think after this, his credibility is just totally going to be down the sinkhole. I don't see Hogan's reputation coming back from this because the man, as Jim Ross was pointing out, the man's a brand, and if your brand doesn't sell for shit, then he's going to probably end up living off that 70 million. Well, depending if his ex Mrs. Hogan doesn't take half. For the
I think the ex Mrs. Hogan is not entitled to this. This is all his money. Like he's.
I disagree. I think, as far as WWE is concerned, I could see a situation where if they give it 2 years after this whole thing boils down, they may slowly bring him back into the fold. I don't think it's going to be immediate.
They're going to wait. They're going to wait too. They're going to wait the appropriate time. It might not be 2 years, but they're absolutely going to bring Hulk Hogan back at some point in time after
I think he's going to be in a wheelchair with Big Boot and Ledge up at the age of 9.
No, he's going to still be able to. I mean, they're still going to be wheeling him out as long as he's alive. But I think right now, they're a company of forgiveness right now, so they'll bring him back as long as he's not radioactive. He's going to wait for him obviously to cool down. He's still pretty radioactive right now. But I think once he cools down and the attention goes away, whether that takes 2 years or not, I think it won't. But absolutely, their next time they're bigging up building up a big heel or something like that, and the face need rescue, and Real American's going to hit, and Big Boot and leg drop, brother.
Yeah.
Well, if they need someone to like come in and get the name of a town wrong,
Or
Good to be here in the Silverdome.
I think, honestly, this whole sex case has done less damage to Hogan than saying the N-word. I think that, more than anything, is going to keep Hogan out of the limelight. I think people are going to get over that, because the thing about like these sex-type cases, they do kind of fall out of people's minds quicker than something like a rape or a murder or something race-related. You know, if you get caught fucking somebody on camera, give it a couple months, people forget about it. Or you get your own show. You know, who knows?
I will say,
exactly.
Well, I will say, when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you got to take a stand. It don't hurt to hide.
If it's hurting inside, you're doing it wrong. You need to change positions.
Or you're doing it right.
You need to get some STD medication because it burns.
Oh man, but yeah. So we had, like I said, we hadn't talked about the story for a while. It went away. We're not done talking about this story just yet but it's coming to a head. I think the match is in its last throes, and they're getting ready to go home.
The most entertaining aspect of this case is he gets to wear a do-rag in court.
He's like how Hollywood Hogan used to dress, or like how he would dress when he's not ready to fight, but he's going to tear that shirt off and give something.
Imagine being the lawyer having to ask the judge permission for your client to wear a do-rag in court because he wants to cover a bald spot.
I don't think you need permission to that. Like, that's not a big deal, and as big of a deal in our country. Like, you can, as long as he's not wearing like a hat, like a baseball cap and stuff like that. Even I'm pretty sure people have testified in judge wearing a baseball cap before.
What about a stovepipe hat? Because I'm going to try that. If I ever go to court, I'm going to wear a stovepipe hat.
Hell, Michael Jackson did his case, and he was in pajamas. So there's no dress code when it comes to the legal system. You got to...
I mean, it doesn't look good for your case, but...
I'm going to go to the fucking courts dressed as the Monopoly Man. Fuck it.
Remember, folks, in Burhan's neck of the woods, they still have judges with those white poofy...
They still wear powdered wigs. They still have powdered wigs.
We have... I remember us doing jury duty, and our lawyers are the most boring fucking lawyers in court. That when they argue for you, they just sit.
Not only do you have to go to school and pass an exam, but you have to wear a fucking robe and a wig
and a pounded wig and sound like the most boring motherfucker in the planet.
Yeah, good job.
Like in America, they sound like awesome, like fucking high-powered suits. In the UK,
we have shows. We have shows about our lawyers.
Yeah,
LA Law, Suits.
Imagine having a show about the lawyers in the UK, powdered wigs. That's what we call it.
I picture the Python sketch with Tom and wearing lingerie. Anyway, moving on. There's big announcements as far as future WrestleManias, since we're on the road to WrestleMania and WrestleMania season. WrestleMania 33 has a venues.
And they are going 33.
33.
33, fella.
33, fella. WrestleMania 33 has a venue, fella. And it's Orlando. The Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida will be the official venue for WrestleMania 33. Looks like they're scaling back on this. No, it's not. It sounds. I think they're scaling back because the Citrus Bowl, if I'm remembering correctly, is only like a 30 to 40,000 seat arena.
But remember, they always make amendments to those.
They make amendments, but okay, then most they could possibly add is an extra 10,000. Maybe they're going to 50,000 people. That's certainly scaling back the numbers where it could be over 100,000 people attending this year's WrestleMania.
I remember the days when WrestleManias was actually like on 3 different freaking like places.
Yeah, well, the WrestleMania too.
Yeah, and they only
those
tried
were the
that
days.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah, shows you how much of a success that was.
I mean, WrestleMania 13, one of the best WrestleManias of all time, was in the same building Raw was in last night. So.
Yep.
Which,
CM Punk chants. Chicago fans never change.
But how awesome did Vince handle that, though, speaking of?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, let's see how long you're going to do that for. Not that long. There are a lot of there. I mean, do you want to talk about it? Because there were a lot of those last night. By especially Ryback, who I think was doing it to the crowd intentionally. Smart. Again, Ryback being smart, knowing how to work a crowd, does the running knee to the corner. Who has been doing the running knee for a couple of weeks now? The running knee to the corner.
Yeah.
And then does the go to sleep pose, and then the crowd went batshit.
Well, he's getting his heat, so got to give him that, you know.
He's a heel now, isn't he?
He is a heel now, which I'm surprised that is actually turning out to be not a terrible idea.
He has more turns than Big Show.
He's getting to be that way, but I think now maybe with each one he's gotten better, I think.
Well,
so I think maybe...
supposedly there's murmurs out on the interwebs that he's in line for another big push, even to a world title push at some point after WrestleMania.
I mean,
there's a thing that apparently he may be going off the United States Championship next.
Honestly, I don't initially hate the idea of Ryback being a heel foil to Roman Reigns. I think at this point you do need a strong heel for him to come out of, and it's either that or Sheamus, and I really don't want to see Sheamus. And I have less of an interest in seeing him versus Rusev. That's been burned to death.
When you use the words Ryback and strong heel, those things don't go together.
Strong compared to what the current crop of heels that we have. I think the only other...
Outside of Kevin Owens.
Yeah, no, I agree with Miguel. I think Ryback makes a good, if we're entering into the Roman Reigns era after WrestleMania, which may be, barring a miraculous return of Seth Rollins, we are entering into that era, and Ryback seems like a perfect choice to be one of his first opponents. I think he's getting better on the mic. He doesn't seem as awkward. He's comfortable talking. He's making sense when he's talking. He's connecting with the crowd, which is another thing that he wasn't doing. He's connecting with the crowd more. I think he's finally got it down pat. Hey, man, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Fuck yeah, it was built in like fucking years, man.
Exactly.
He's on the same course as Eva Marie. Hopefully, by Ryback's logic, Eva Marie will be amazing by 2025.
I think it's a little sooner than that, because I think we want to talk about that too. Eva Marie, I think they have Eva Marie come out day after WrestleMania and beat Sasha Banks, or whoever the Divas champion is after whatever they do.
No, Eva Marie
throw things at her.
You want the perfect spot for Eva Marie. I've got it right here. Here you go. This is predicated on if Roman Reigns. No, this is predicated on if Roman Reigns turns heel. You have Eva Marie be Roman Reigns' valet.
Oh my God.
Bingo.
Yes, and she has to be the dominant one. Like, he has to be her cuck. Like, she talks for him, and he does all the legwork, but she bitches him out. Oh my God! The fans will throw cars into the ring. That's how bad it'll be. Like,
have you heard her cut a promo? Because
that's the thing. No. That's how it works. You gotta feed off of that. That could.
Not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I mean, if they were just doing that to reintroduce Roman Reigns, it would have been great. But a year ago, that would have been a great idea.
Eva Marie is probably that you could tell that she's come from the era of standardized testing. Just the fact that her IQ is lower than a fucking anthill. It's just
she's getting there. Right? Let's give the Red Queen some time, okay?
Yeah, Lenny will get there eventually, just as long as George doesn't shoot her in the head.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
Anyway. So yeah, Orlando, get ready because the WrestleMania is coming to you next season.
It's coming to you like Orlando Jordan is coming on the crowd.
Oh, why did you say that
happen.
about? What did Orlando Jordan ever do to you, Burhan? Why would you say such slanderous
He made
things
me
about
watch that shit.
Listen, there's a chance we could get Orlando Jordan to make an appearance on the show, so I wouldn't say too many bad things about him. We might be able to get him.
I know,
It's
right?
like-
Jesus.
It's like, oh, I saw what Goldust did, and let's do the literal version of that because that wasn't literal enough. Let's literally just have me with this spray bottle ejaculate on the crowd.
Okay, so
TNA.
I got the actual numbers for the Citrus Bowl, and they do fit over 70,000 in there. So okay, it's a little bit bigger than I thought it was.
And just as a heads up for people who aren't local, it has been renovated. I know when they went in 2000.
When they were there in 2008, yeah, it was a dump, and I thought they were gonna
it was a
I thought they were tearing it down.
But honestly, the Citrus Bowl, I like the Citrus Bowl if nothing else because I'm a sucker for an open air stadium, and that was actually one of the first that I could remember. I wasn't a fan of I wasn't a fan when WrestleMania 9 came out, so when 24 came out, I was like, wow, it looks so much fancier and bigger. Speaking of which, I went to take a leak while you started onto the next story. Did you guys mention the deal that they're having with Universal?
I didn't. They are going to have now an official venue for the Hall of Fame now, which is very good.
Apparently, what the deal is that they're going to be buying out the old NBA restaurant, which I'm familiar with. It's a big restaurant, theme restaurant in Islands of
I remember walking by it too last time I was in Universal.
Yeah, they're going to be buying out that venue and turning it into a restaurant/museum type thing. It's funny they mentioned that because when I first heard the story, I was like, are they buying out the Hard Rock? Because to me, that's the biggest restaurant in that City Walk area is the Hard Rock Cafe. I thought that was going to be the case, but
that's where everybody goes too.
I'm fine with this, honestly. I'm surprised that it took this long, given how deep WWE is in the pocket of Universal. I'm surprised that they haven't integrated the WWE into the park yet, especially given a lot of the space that they've moved around with the Marvel deal falling through and losing a lot of that stuff. I figured it was a matter of time before they fill that up with something, and it looks like that's going to be the WWE. And
they're also filling out with Nintendo characters as well, aren't they?
In Japan, that's Universal Studios Japan is doing the Nintendo deal. It hasn't migrated over to the U.S. yet. It could, though, if the Japan deal works. But yeah, I'd visit it. If it opens up, I'm definitely going to...
It definitely becomes a vacation spot, and it just becomes now the reason now, because now they have Harry Potter and the WWE. I'm like, I can't not go now.
Well, let's just hope that doesn't become another WWE New York.
No, you say that, but that did bring up a lot of opportunity for them for shows, and it brings up the question: do you think now, if this new venue takes place, that they're going to be doing more like network-based stuff from here? It can kind of be like BWF New York was for the WWE in 2000, where they had a bunch of stuff like the Diva Search and
the return of Shotgun Saturday Night.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! I would go with Shotgun taping.
Studios.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, show TNA how to do it right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh my god, how ironic would that be if they did that and they did it out of Soundstage 21, which was the Impact Zone? Oh god, the irony.
Oh, sweet irony.
And people would actually be paying for tickets.
I know. They would be selling it out around the block.
Yeah, and since they're working with Universal, yeah, they would be able to charge for it. So, wow. You know what? I would even buy that. I'd buy a ticket to go see a Shotgun taping at Universal. Fuck yeah.
Big C will be standing in the queue going, why are people buying this? We had to give ours away for free.
We still couldn't fill it up.
God, I remember the days back in college of waiting in the free line to get into a TNA taping.
Oh boy. Well,
I need to go and take a piss. Oh, what's this line for? Oh, it's TNA.
We could be seeing those halcyon days again, boys, if only the heads powers that be over there at Disney or at Universal and WWE just put their heads together and realize that they have the power to draw in millions of dollars. So, wow, there was something else.
You missed the opportunity. Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. What was the story that we wanted to talk about, man?
Oh, the Hall of Fame, 2 inductions.
Boss man.
We did get another Hall of Fame induction, and this was shouldn't really say a surprise, but I was intrigued by this one because I thought it was an interesting selection. The Big Boss Man is going in the Hall of Fame.
Two posthumous inductions this year.
Yeah, that's why it took me by surprise, because they normally don't like to double up on those. Like, it's normally one emotional moment, and that's it. But the Big Boss Man's going to get his just due. Certainly one of the most agile big men there was in the company, and I mean, I think we all have a special remembrance for that feud with the Big Show. I mean,
Big Show's funeral.
All time great. I mean, and Al Snow. I mean, just talk about one of the best heels of his generation too.
Mm-hmm.
Just did absolutely sinister things on camera.
Put Cobb County, Georgia on the map.
Yeah,
remember
absolutely.
when he came back? Like, he came back to WWE. He was leaner. He was more focused. And he was a son of a bitch.
He was a mean son of a bitch. Good God.
Apart from his feud with the Big Show. You're a bastard,
You're a
Big Show.
bastard, Big Show. I mean, that was the best, dude. Like, yeah, man.
You don't get heels like that anymore, man.
No, you
just
don't.
Raw hatred.
No, and that's because he came from that territory period where, like, you know, he'd go into work some of those, you know, small venues, and there were people actually trying to fight him, and like, yeah, you had to do that just to survive.
If you ever get the chance, by the way, listen to Jim Cornette on the Steve Austin podcast. They have some great Bubba Rogers stories on there, like back when they actually discovered him and how they set him up in the NWA. It's some really good stuff. Like, one of the stories is how they had a spot set up, like an angle where the Dusty Rhodes was about to attack Jim Cornette because he was managing the Midnight, and it was Dusty against the Midnight Express. And they had one spot set up where Dusty was going to hit Bubba Rogers with a chair. Now, they were supposed to gimmick the chair so that it would break off of Bubba Rogers' head and he would no-sell it. So Dusty hits him like full force. The chair breaks over his head. It like horse collars. It like goes around his neck, and he doesn't sell it at all. And then when Cornette goes to the back, he goes, "Hey, good job on gimmicking that chair." He's like, "What?" He got hit straight up with a chair, no-sold it, and it's just... Boss Man's a badass. I don't think many people realize how much of a badass Bubba Rogers was.
Haku level badassery. Like, I mean, if you hear the stories, he was always one of the guys that always would hear about that was legitimately tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that people were scared to fuck with because he could actually probably hurt you.
And yet you hear just as many nice stories. Like, even Steve Austin talks about some of the nice things. Like, you know, the Ray Traylor himself, from what he said, was a legitimately nice guy if you were on his good side, which, you know, that's always good to hear. You know, you don't want to know that everybody that's a badass is an asshole. You know, you want to hear that they only have to be that way when they need to.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. If he had, you know, I stuck around, I guess, a little longer, or, you know, hadn't passed away.
I think it was just bad timing because at the time there weren't many people that were rising above Steve Austin at the time. So I don't think he would have gotten very far except just fodder for Stone Cold, you know?
Yeah.
And it was at a time when Austin was out. He was out with injury. Like, it was right after they had written him out, because I think that's when they gave Big Show the title.
Yes. But yeah, probably one of the best of all time. That probably never won a World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, he should have won it earlier. Even like around the time Austin was WWE champ, you know, Bossman could have won it, but they kind of shortchanged him. He
could have been like a one night corporate champ, like, oh, we're gonna screw him out and make the Big Boss Man champ for one night, like that, given an honorary title reign or something like that. But yeah, he'll go in the Hall of Fame, and hats off to him.
Jailhouse match, SummerSlam '91.
Oh, one of my all-time favorites.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
yeah.
I love just the...
Ah, you idiot!
It's like, you want the finger? Here's the finger, and he flips off the cup.
Oh my God, the biker that has to share the jail cell with the Mountie that has the high-pitched voice. Like, I lost my shit at that moment. He just walks up to me and goes, "Hey," and he just goes, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, the Mountie. That match
I'm
was
the
great. That was a great feud.
Mountie. I'm
Great
handsome.
feud.
I'm brave. I'm strong.
Speaking
I'm
of which,
Mountie.
have they announced who's going to be inducting him?
No, they have not yet. No, they usually kind of don't leave that for maybe like the week of. I don't
Any
even
money?
Probably.
Any money I know who's going to be Jason Albert. Any money?
Really?
Well, they partnered up against the Big Show.
I mean, that's a weird.
Oh yeah, Prince Albert.
You're a
yeah.
bastard.
That's weird. I mean,
It's unfortunate
Al
that
Snow.
it's unfortunate that
Austin maybe. I mean, like Austin knew him.
you know
too,
it's
like-
really unfortunate that there's like not a chance in hell Jim Cornette would ever do business with WWE, because if there was anybody that was as instrumental for Bubba Rogers really breaking in, it was as Jim Cornette's bodyguard in the NWA.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, Jim Cornette is doing mighty fine at alienating the rest of the wrestling industry.
Yep.
So I don't think he'll be doing business. He'll be going anywhere near anyone.
No, but here's the thing: it might reach a cycle where like he's alienated everybody but WWE, and then he'll just be back in WWE's good graces again because he's literally alienated everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, are we really
Well,
shocked?
listen
it's
to-
funny again.
Are we really shocked that he doesn't like Joey Ryan's U-Pornplex?
Yeah, like
Well,
come on.
he doesn't like, you know, I took all the shit he said about Muslims, but the U-Pornplex, that's crossing the line. Crossing the motherfucking line.
At this point, I'm like, I don't even give a shit anymore. Cornette's going to be stuck in his ways, and you know if he doesn't like Lucha
Yeah.
Underground or the
Exactly.
King of Dong style, well then, fine.
Fuck him. Like
I don't
really,
care.
we're asking Jim Cornette his opinion in 2016, and we're surprised that he doesn't like something.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
hey
you
Jim,
hear
why
the
don't you listen to
tangents?
death metal?
Exactly.
Did
I said this
you
before.
hear like his tangents on Lucha Underground? He was
Yeah, I
just
know,
like,
man. We covered it on the show a couple weeks ago.
yeah, he ripped
Um,
it a new one.
Yeah, I know.
It's
we
actually
covered
quite
it on
funny
the
just
show.
watching, just listening to him go on about it, and just.
We covered it on the show.
But it just shows that he's kind of an old fuddy-duddy now, and you're like, okay, Jim, just sit down and take your medication. You're right.
That's pretty much how we covered it on the show a few weeks ago when we talked about it. Speaking of things that happened this weekend, we already talked about the UFC debacle.
Oh, did we talk about the Freebirds? That was the
We
other
did
big
talk-
induction.
I mean, that was announced weeks ago, wasn't it? Didn't
Yeah, I think we talked about
already?
that last week.
We had talked
Oh,
about that
okay.
last week.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't here.
The only thing I will say is, as long as we don't see the Michael P.S. Hayes with his shirt off again, because
No,
that's scary.
I mean, we'll see it in that that context, but I don't think he'll take his shirt off at the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
No,
no.
We'll see.
I
We'll
can't
see
wait to
shirtless.
see how him and the Godfather are dressed. It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be dueling outfits because they're gonna show up, dressed to the nines. So yeah.
What's the over/under on Rosa Mendez being there?
I think she'll be there because she might still be out on maternity leave. So
Well, if you need somebody else to suck him off, Sonny's available.
No, you have to pay her now. She won't do it
That's
for
a
free.
married. First of all, Rosa Mendez is a married woman and someone's mother. So that's
Well, she upgraded
Oh,
from like
right.
Skype calls now.
She
No,
might
she-
go
she was.
to jail. I
there's
think she's
porn.
gonna be getting sick.
Yeah, have you not seen the tape?
We covered it. We covered it
We
on.
covered
seen
it
the
and
Trailer, and it was disgusting, even for me.
Yeah, I just folks, do yourself a favor. If you want to be able to experience the Sunny tape without actually having to hear it, find the 40-minute review that the boys over at Wrestling Soup did, playing the
Oh,
audio of it,
God.
doing their own commentary. It is
Oh.
the funniest thing I've ever heard. It is
Oh.
hilarious. I don't normally plug other shows. Go out of your way to find this episode. It's on YouTube. It's like 48 minutes. It's them riffing it live.
It's
Oh, my-
hilarious.
It's something I felt like we should have done. Oh my god.
Thank
anyway.
you, but,
Anyway.
Sounds like a
Was that-
bear
look, I
trapped in
will
a
say,
bed.
at least Michael Hayes with his shirt off is a lot better than Vince Russo ripping his shirt off at Fall Brawl.
Are we done? Are we done with the news in wrestling? I think
Yeah.
that was it,
Yeah, let's
right?
get
I
to
think-
the UFC.
Because boy, and when we're wrong on our predictions, we are catastrophically wrong. Um,
Oh boy.
look, well, I'll just talk about it now. I was chief cheerleader on the Conor McGregor hype train.
Saw the video
talks
of
a
him
good game.
doing the Vince McMahon strut. Like,
I will say this: the man talks a good game. He's extremely entertaining. He's one of those guys that you can't help but cheer for him. But he got his ass whooped.
I
he
wouldn't even
took
say
a
he got
fight 2 weeks notice and went up 2 weight classes.
Yeah, he was already going up one. He went up another one.
Yeah.
To fight somebody just to give somebody a chance, and someone who had called him out beforehand, who was before a week, before he got that phone call was, sipping tequila on a beach in Cabo somewhere, probably.
That was
chilling out.
the Uproxx article headline I saw, that he was doing shots of tequila
You know
when he
what?
got the call.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Remember the movie The Great White Hype with Damon Wayans?
A little bit, yes. That's what I mean.
He was
That's
an
how the
Irishman
fight.
as well.
That's how the fight game works, though. You get these guys that come in and that aren't training to fight coming in, and because you're not really, I guess, mentally. Sorry, what were we gonna say?
Here's the thing about what happened to Conor. Conor's a great fighter.
Absolutely.
But if you look at how he was fighting, he did not take Nate Diaz's stand-up game seriously. He did not block one punch, and I think that was his undoing. If he'd have had some form of defense against Nate Diaz, it could have gone to a decision. I don't know if Conor would have knocked out Nate Diaz, but you can tell in that first round he was just not respecting Nate Diaz's stand-up.
No, here's the thing: is he was expecting at least some of those shots that he was landing, because he was landing some pretty effective shots in the first round, I think. He was expecting one of those shots to put him down or give him the advantage to get on top of Nate Diaz and punch him out, and then the fight that way. But when he lasted the first round, and in the second round he wasn't, just coming just as strong, that's when he got into trouble. He shot in for the takedown, and, if it's one thing that Nate Diaz, and that both the Diaz brothers have, it's lethal submission game, and he played right into Nate's hands, and he made him tap. And like I said, it's gonna temporarily derail the McGregor hype train. It'll shake off all the bandwagoners. The true believers like myself and Mr. Wago are not going to be stirred by this. We understand the facts and the rule, how the fight game really works.
Yeah, if you don't support them at their worst, why should you support them at their best?
Exactly, and like I said,
the same thing with Holly Holm getting choked out by Misha Tate.
Holly Holm, that was a hell of a fucking fight. Like that is for me a fight of the year candidate in MMA. Like those two, or at least fight of the year in the women's bantamweight division. Those two put it all out there, and I knew the longer that fight went on, that was going to Misha Tate, because Holly had to knock her out, and she was just coming through and eating everything she had, and wasn't enough. And I knew it was. I knew as that fight was going on, like as I'm trying to watch it, and as my stream is like cutting out, I'm like, oh, well, as long as this fight goes, it's gonna end, and it's not gonna end well for Holly Holm. And that submission was just brutal. It was
that's the thing. It's one of those well fought, but people aren't going to remember that. They're going to sit there and go,
well, if you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fan, you're going to remember it. You're just like, yeah, good ground game. Yeah, all good chokes. All the title fights ending by submission. But if you're the UFC, you just lost two of your biggest draws. What you thought was going to be hopefully your new golden child, and the person that had become the face of your organization now, your last hope. And they've all fallen within the last calendar year. Now they're back to John Jones. Like a weird. It's what John Jones was hoping would be all this time. Like all these people that were getting up ahead of him would lose, And then the UFC would turn their lonely eye to John Jones and say, please save us, John Jones. Daniel Cormier is very interesting to watch talk, but as far as trying to sell a fight, not so much. Very nice guy, Daniel Cormier, I'm sure, but, not selling out arenas for him to fight anybody else other than John Jones.
Oh, boy.
But
you know what? I think the UFC is going to be fine. I think right now they've got a nice even footing as far as top stars. I mean, that's kind of the catch-22 of having only a certain amount of guys that are true draws. I mean, shit, the WWE is finding that out the hard way, is when you don't have an even playing field of talented guys that can get people to buy a pay-per-view, you do run into a situation where people are screaming the sky is falling as soon as one of these guys falls out of grace. That's what we're seeing right now. I think, if nothing else, as far as home losing, I think it does keep the women's bantamweight division fresh, because there was seemingly a bit of a stagnation that was happening as Ronda was plowing her way through every single bantamweight star. I mean, it got to the point where eventually people are just going to get bored of Ronda Rousey, and it's just going to be a situation where people are just going to see, they're going to come to see the personality and not the fighter, which is, I don't know if you want to be in that situation as a fighter. As far as Conor, I think he's going to be fine. I do think, like you guys said, there's going to be a lot of bandwagoners that are going to be falling off. I think he is going to recover. He's
still the champ at 145.
He is still the champ at 145, and I do think you're going to. I do think you are going to see him kind of. I think he's probably going to be. This is going to make him a babyface. I hate to say it in a wrestling terms, but
to me, he was always a babyface.
He was more of a tweener. I think there were a lot of people that hated the fact that he was undefeated just as much as people liked him. Now that he has been humbled, quote unquote, I think a lot of people are going to be migrating back to him, and it's going to be another slow build. But eventually, he's probably not going to be as hot as he was pre-loss. But he's going to still be a big draw. It's just going to take a little bit longer.
He's gonna have to beat somebody at 145 again for that shine to come back, and then maybe the Dos Anjos fight happens again, and he can go back and be the first person to hold two weight classes, two belts and two weight classes simultaneously.
Well, here's something that I wanted to bring up is, where do you think this goes for Nate Diaz? Because I think a guy like him should be given a shot at Robbie Lawler. I think having the win and being on the win streak he is, I think he's earned it.
To quote the great Rick James, shouldn't have given all niggas money. You're never gonna see them Diaz boys again. How much money did Nate Diaz make off this fight?
Shit ton.
Yeah, like at least 6 figures.
Million.
30 million.
Oh wow.
$30 million.
McGregor said McGregor said that he would have made 35 million off of this fight.
Just
wow.
Unbelievable. Or maybe that's Conor McGregor, if he all his sponsors and all that stuff like that. Maybe that's Conor talking. But yeah, Nate Diaz got more money than he's ever made in his life. He's
probably just sitting there going, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go back and just sip some margaritas on the beach."
I'm gonna go back to Stockton, California, buy a big old fat sack of weed and fucking
yes.
Shit, he could probably buy Stockton with that much money.
All I'm saying is...
He could probably buy a whole street with marijuana stores. I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is the amount of people that were screaming 209 after that. Oh my God. You'd think all of Stockton, California was on the internet at the same time. Jesus Christ. I get it. The guy won. And I would have been happy as all shit if Conor won. Oh my God. I would have been like, Diaz, shh. Everybody fall back. It's only one Conor McGregor. Yada, yada, yada. But Jesus Christ. You would think that, I don't know, man. It was a huge deal. It wasn't that big of a deal. To me. I was over in 2 seconons. Conor lost. I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I was laughing hysterically because
okay, maybe it was a little longer than 2 seconds. Maybe it was about an hour of sulking.
Yeah. Well, I was laughing
Anyway.
hysterically because my brother's fiance is Irish, so she's a Conor McGregor fan to the bone. So when he lost, she was in tears, and I was just pointing and laughing, as you know, a brother-in-law does.
As you know, you're doing real good, just doing solid
You can
work.
sit there and just go, you're Irish, fuck you.
So that's being enough. Isn't Irish enough? We already are the British black version of the Native Americans.
Why do you think they always get drunk?
Hey man, we deal with it. That's how we deal with it.
Yep.
Anyway, the greatest living Irish fighter will bounce back. I do agree with you with that. His draw hasn't been affected that much, but it took a hit. It took a hit. But I think he'll be back, and people will remember. Oh yeah, this guy is interesting to watch fight. It's gonna be interesting to see going forward because UFC now is they lost Sage Northcutt. Paige Van Zant's going to do Dancing with the Stars. That was another star that they were trying to build up, and then she lost, and now I don't know if they lost her, but she's still young. She could still, but yeah, they lost Sage. Sage Northcutt lost the fight. He was going to be their next golden boy. Connor lost. He was next to Ronda. That's it. Now they're back to John Jones as being the guy who's going to draw them money. Be prepared for a very contentious build up to Daniel Cormier, John Jones.
Do we want to throw in Anderson losing against Bisping?
Yeah, I mean, because they didn't really get to talk about that, or did I talk about that a little bit? Like
I don't think you did.
I think I meant to talk about it, but forgot. But a complete shamockery of justice, I thought. A shamockery. Yes, I'm using that word. It was a sham and a mockery. A shamockery.
Okay.
Look, just because the guy can't hit you doesn't mean he's guy's like hot dogging it. Like, no, he's just dodging it because this thing's that slow. I don't know, man. What do you think, Miguel? Do you have a dissenting opinion, rather?
I like Anderson. I really don't think he's been kind of himself since he came back from the losses against Weidman. I mean, the guy's almost 40 at this point. Very few fighters, even as good as Anderson Silva, can keep up that level of fightability at 40. I mean, the only guy I could think of really is maybe Dan Henderson.
Yeah. But there were times in that fight that it looked like he was just fucking with him, and then if he really wanted to end the fight, he could have ended the fight right then and there.
Who, Anderson?
Yeah.
Well, that's Anderson's thing. He's still fighting like he's, like this is 2005, 2006, but it's 2016. You can't fight like that. You got to be smarter than that. I think a smart, serious Anderson Silva could still be dominant, but if he's going to keep doing the hot dogging and he's going to be, dodging punches like he's, in his early 30s, yeah, he's going to be counting stars more than we'd like to see. He really needs to get his shit together, kind of like Nate Diaz. Once Nate Diaz, took himself seriously, now he's beaten guys that are considered the greatest of all time. And, if you just take the moment and really focus, yeah, I think Anderson could still be within the top 5. It's just, it depends on what he wants.
Very true. We'll see. I mean, UFC always has the cards up their sleeve. UFC 200 is right around the corner this summer, and that's going to be the big one.
It's looking like a Punk and Gale's going to be on that show.
Yeah, it looks like it's finally going to happen. Conor McGregor, who knows? Ronda, probably not.
I still say you could still probably get Lawler versus Diaz for the welterweight belt into there by that point.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. I think you'd probably have to make that decision, make that announcement sooner or later.
I mean, when is UFC 200?
July.
Okay, his according to MMA Fighting, Nate Diaz's medical suspension won't be until April, so he'll be able to come back by then. I don't know if that's cutting it a bit close for a title fight, but I mean, if the money's good, I could see them doing Lawler versus Diaz, because at this point, also they're going to put against Lawler. I mean, who's the number 1 contender so far?
I would think maybe GSP comes back. I mean, there's always been that rumor whether or not he's going to come back.
Well, let me check, because I could swear it was Condit just lost.
Yeah, he just lost to Condit.
Lawler.
I thought he said Kanye. I was like,
yeah, he's going to fight Kanye. Gonna fight Kanye. Yeah,
Kanye would get his ass kicked.
Guy needs to pay his debts, so he's gonna.
53. That would definitely get him 53 million right there. I would pay to watch that.
I mean, the only other guy I could think
anyone
of that they could put against Robbie Lawler that could give him a run for his money, and it sucks because he just got popped for steroids, is probably Hector Lombard. He's the only other guy I could think of that's a name that they could put against him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still doing a suspension.
That just happened, so no.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm calling it now. UFC 200, Diaz versus Lawler.
Okay, maybe. It's certainly plausible.
Oh, Kanye, if you're listening to this podcast, give UFC a call. Maybe there's some room for you.
And the College Dropout was a great album. That's all I'm gonna say.
I like Graduation.
I like Graduation Day, College Dropout, 808s and Heartbreaks was all right. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy might have been his greatest album of all time. And then
Jesus was God, man.
Jesus, he straight up and lost his goddamn mind.
Yeah, and everything after that is just terrible.
I haven't even listened to Life of Pablo or anything.
Don't bother. I haven't heard good things about it.
I wouldn't.
I tried listening to it and had to turn it off.
He's lost me. Anyway, that's enough Kanye talk.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kanye talk, not really. Speaking of roadblocks,
This Saturday.
Roadblock takes place this Saturday on my actual day of birth, which is very nice to be surprised to do. Unfortunately, I will be in the state of Florida and not in the home in front of my own TV, so I will have to
I'll
maybe
be
try
at
and
work, so I'm going to have to go on a social media blackout too.
That's all right. I'm not in that social media blackout. Maybe I'm just going to have to be stuck watching it on my phone.
See, I'd watch it, but I don't have the network, so I can't really watch it. I mean, unless you guys are willing to let me use your login so I can watch it,
I don't know. Man, let's not.
We at Slamcast do not condone piracy in any of its forms.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
So, ladies and gents, if you're giving your login to your friends,
I don't trust you. I don't trust you.
Fair enough.
He'll probably end up using your login somehow.
Because
I
don't want to use my login because literally if I give you my login for that, you can literally log into all of my things.
Oh yeah, I understand. Don't worry.
It's one of those things. So yeah, Roadblock this Sunday or Saturday rather. A lot of matches, good matches have been already announced. Apart from Dean Ambrose, Triple H.
Yep.
We got the announcement this week that Brock Lesnar was going to take on Bray Wyatt in a match that maybe should have taken place at WrestleMania, but then Dean Ambrose happened.
Yes. Dean fucking Ambrose.
Dean fucking Ambrose. Yes, a lot of things that have changed because of Dean fucking Ambrose. Yeah, I think this match, while it could have been great, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near quite the as great as it could have been had it been on WrestleMania, and had it had the proper build.
I see the thing I don't, and the reason I say that is because it feels like the Wyatt family, and specifically Bray, has just been on a downward slope as of late. I mean, can anybody think of the last big match that Bray or the Wyatt family has really gone over?
I can't, but the promo work and what he does during the match is good enough for me, so as long as he keeps that up.
The thing is, it's booking. The WWE are not really booking him in a very smart way.
Well, they're using him as the as the tool to get the faces over.
Yeah, but the problem is, it's like basically trying to use a used condom. If it gets to the point where that thing's just broken, you ain't going to get any more traction from it. So I don't think it's broken. I think it's still very viable. I think you've added Braun Strowman to it, so it makes it a little different. It makes it freshen it up a little bit. So saying Braun Strowman is like the lube.
Braun Strowman is like a big bearded thing of lube, man.
No, Braun Strowman is the equivalent of tying the condom up at the end. It's like you used it, you kind of squeeze everything to the end, and then you put a knot in it so that it doesn't get in the way. You can probably use it one or two more times, but eventually you're going to fuck it up. Eventually it's going to be like, right, I can't use this anymore. Like, the Wyatt family, they're Bray Wyatt is a great promo person. The problem with Bray Wyatt is that his promos are very at worst nonsensical. And if you're going to talk bullshit,
the Eater of Worlds.
Yeah, if you're going to say a lot of nothing, you need to back it up in the ring, and I don't think he really does. I think he's lost too many times. I mean, like I said, I can't remember the last big win Bray Wyatt has had, and he's the patriarch of the Wyatt family. Without him, the other Wyatt members they have nothing, and they proved that when they tried to go their separate ways. I think the fact that they've weakened Bray Wyatt so much has kind of hurt him, and I think... I don't think losing to Brock Lesnar is going to do any good. By the way, I'm saying he's going to lose. I don't see the Wyatt family beating Bray.
You're not going to beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and I think that does absolutely no good for Bray Wyatt. A character like Bray Wyatt and the entire Wyatt family, the best thing that could probably happen to them is to be written off TV. Give them 6 months off so that people can miss them, and then bring them back with more of an edge. Bring them back to that base where they were the scary, the scary backwoods people that would abduct you and make you a member of their Wyatt clan instead of just this reject Goosebumps character, like this villain from like a YA horror novel or something. Like, that's kind of what he's becoming.
One thing I've always wondered, right? Why haven't he been able to use the Undertaker's powers anymore?
Right, I don't know. That's a truly thing. I do like you calling Bray Wyatt a young adult horror novel.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I will disagree though. Just to be the dissenting opinion, I will think Bray Wyatt will win this match. I think there'll be some sort of shenanigans played on Brock Lesnar, and Bray will win. So
the thing is,
No,
I
I'm
think
picking
for
Lesnar.
this situation, I'm picking Lesnar too, because Lesnar's going into his match with Ambrose. They've got to show that Lesnar is a motherfucking destructive machine.
what do you mean? That don't prove that already? Like that's all Brock Lesnar does. They're going to destroy everybody that he comes across. He can destroy he can beat up Bray Wyatt for 10 minutes and have the Wyatt's family surround the wing and then just fucking be taken out by 3 larger dudes, and then that's it.
Yeah, but they won't do that because they made Lesnar look really, really weak at the Royal Rumble anyway. Remember that?
Yeah, I have to agree with
I don't see how 3 people eliminating three gigantic dudes eliminating somebody is making him.
Yeah, but he never got his payback. The problem with when you do that and you destroy someone to the point of dumping them out of the ring to the point where he was discombobulated.
I think it was they were going to probably have more plans for this, and then Dean Ambrose happened, and they said, that might be a better match. And it gives us something for Dean Ambrose to do, which was something we were going to have a hard time doing anyway. Bray Wyatt can take a back seat for now because Bray Wyatt has a gimmick that's basically that spot is not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like his spot, I think with that gimmick right now, his spot is solid on TV. They might not use him on TV for your weeks, but that's not fine. Like he doesn't have to worry about that. They're not going to be jobbing people out to people anytime soon.
I think what frustrates me about the Wyatt family is you look at some of this stuff that's being done on Lucha Underground. If you had a writer that writes for that, writing stuff for the Wyatt family, there's so much potential with that family if somebody wants to put it to its biggest potential. But it seems like WWE just they want to keep it at a lowest common denominator. They want to give it any more depth than he's this bearded guy that says spooky shit, and he doesn't even have the rocking chair anymore. He just has a lantern. He doesn't even have that. The mystique that could have been built up is gone. They don't want to build up any more mystique, and I think that's frustrating because I like Bray Wyatt. I think a guy like that could have been huge, but it's laziness. That's basically what it is. What's killing Bray Wyatt is laziness on part of WWE creative, and that's unfortunate.
Fair enough. We will see how this plays out for both guys going forward because one has their WrestleMania match already set in stone, and one is still ambiguous. On to the other match that we...
hoping... Sorry, I'm just... One more thing I want to say about this. I do hope that Bray and the Wyatts get a win, but they're not going to get this win. And it's kind of sad, as Miguel's pointed out, they really need to be a more impactful force. And truthfully, my opinion is, after WrestleMania, I would love to see Bray and the Wyatts actually become a stable worth noting. You know, it's a stable that goes after every championship, a stable that basically goes after Roman again. I would love to see Bray go after Roman for the WWE Championship. Fuck me, that would be amazing. But you got to look him right.
It's gonna happen. He's gonna be. They're gonna once Roman has the belt, a Bray Wyatt feud will happen. Guarantee you. Moving on now to the other match. There was an NXT match that I didn't know was happening until Nick just literally told me. Enzo and Cass against, what was it, Gable and...
No, it's Dash and Dawson. The Revival.
Are you Dawson or are you Dash?
Yes. Thank you, London.
Yes, thank you, London, for giving us that forever. And that's how I'm going to obviously refer to that team from hell on. Are you Dawson or are you Dash? I think Enzo and Big Cass obviously beat Are you Dawson or are you Dash.
Yeah, I think, this would be the time. I mean, they've... At least if... I fear if they don't win it here...
It's a test balloon. If Enzo and Big Cass can't get over in this situation, I think that's what they're trying to say. They won't get over anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But I think if they don't win the titles, they're heading to the main roster for sure. But I think the best thing to do would be to have them win the titles. That crowd in London was so amped up to see those guys win those titles, and then it didn't happen. So...
Yeah, totally. Totes and the goats, bro. What do you guys say? Burhan?
What? Who's that?
Enzo and Big Cass against Are You Dawson or Are You Dash?
Yep.
Oh, you mean the Fat Twins? I would say basically Enzo and Cass because the Fat Twins are just terrible. They're just... The fact these guys are in... the Great Khali was in better shape than they are. Just saying.
Look, Brainbusters 2016. Okay, listen, let's not slight them as a tag team. They've done pretty well. Ponies? They've done pretty well for themselves as a team.
Let's do the whole I'm a badass gimmick. That works.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
It's a slobber knocker. It really is.
They are they are Brainbusters 2016
or the Blackjacks 2016.
without the mustaches.
Yes.
Which one's Bradshaw? Is it the one with the mutton chops?
Are you Dawson or are you Dash? That's all I can say.
You know what they need? They need Zeb to come out with them.
Oh,
But Hammer's Uncle Zebekiah.
Again,
no. Cowbell.
That's not going to happen ever again. Miguel?
I don't mind Dash and Dawson. I do think they are a classic old school tag team. Unfortunately, I don't know where a team like that would be able to really break out on WWE programming without a third man to kind of give them the edge. I think back to when TNA had the Naturals, and they tried to add Shane Douglas to as the franchise Naturals, and that could have worked, but it didn't. If you gave me the choice between Dash and Dawson or Enzo and Kaz, I'm going to go Enzo and Kaz. The fact that they aren't on the roster as is surprises me. I'd like to see them win the titles. If they don't win, bring them up to the main roster. That's the only other thing I can think of. They either win or they have to move up. You can't have them sitting there on the roster doing nothing. I think it's time.
Just popping every crowd that they go to.
All I have to say is Enzo's scathing promo against those two. It was gold. This guy, right? He only knows that WWE NXT. He never trained anywhere else. He's not an indie darling.
Mm-hmm.
And you look how amazing he is in terms of his charisma, in terms of his style.
They got the characters down pat, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the end of...
As an indie dog, we've seen Baron Corbin attack him already.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see these two basically get the tag titles. If they don't, it's going to be a goddamn shame because, these two, retaining water, the boys who needs to basically, pick up some free range weights, they really need... I don't see them lasting. WWE 2017 releases... I could see these two being released at some point.
Dawson and Dash.
After not making it on the rail stuff.
Let me ask you guys a question on why that's been the case with Enzo and Kaz. Do you think one of the reasons why they've been kind of slow to bring them up the roster is maybe to put it bluntly, Vince doesn't get them? I could see a
No.
situation where maybe that's the reason why they haven't brought them up is they haven't. It's a gimmick that Vince doesn't understand. Because how many times have you heard stories about guys having gimmicks like that where he just doesn't get it from a marketing standpoint?
I think it could be true, but I just think it's also they're more valuable right now in NXT to NXT than they are to bring them up. And now that their New Day doesn't have that of tag teams, I think it's just perfect. Speaking of the New Day will be defending their tag team titles, which, if we want to just talk a little bit about on Raw this week, if you haven't watched it yet, fan-fucking-tastic match between the now defunct Y2 AJ and the New Day. I mean, early WWE match of the year candidate, folks. Yeah, I just watched
fucking springboard, man. Fuck.
First of all, that was just one of them. The springboard 450 was one of them. Then the moonsault suplex, the moonsault DDT thing that he kind of did, that was insane. I mean, who knew AJ? I mean, God, AJ Styles could work. What a surprise! I know, really. God, WWE.
And you know, a friend of mine was actually saying to me how AJ Styles isn't as over as he was when he originally came into WWE. I was like, are you shitting me?
Are you insane?
He sold T-shirts. He sold gloves. The crowd pops every time he enters the fucking arena.
Yeah.
And it's AJ being over.
I think they're
you watching.
I think they're kicking themselves in the ass for not bringing him over sooner.
Yeah. But I think it's good that he's taken him so long to get to the company because I think he's probably one of the most over superstars in the company right now. Well, sans Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I would say so too. So we'll see what's going to happen going forward with AJ and Jericho. But New Day versus the League of Booty, League of Nations. It will be.
Oh my god, this is going to be a snooze fest, and not with New Day's lack of trying, because I think New Day are going to be entertaining as fuck.
Look, if you've been watching the promos that they've cutting, I mean, it's been absolutely absurd, even for New Day's own standards. Just watch it and tell me I'm wrong.
Are you talking about the positivity box?
The positivity box, Pirate Sheamus, King Barrett being literally a coat rack.
New Day can do no wrong.
Yeah, New Day is at their. I mean, they're at their, I guess, Sgt. Pepper part of their promo career, where they're just being really experimental with some of the things that they're doing and getting away with it. Sure, the rubber soul part.
CM Punk basically said it. They just don't give a fuck anymore, so they're just throwing whatever the fuck they want out there.
Yep, and it's working. They're just like, hey, let's do this. It's working. Fuck, keep doing it. Let's be ridiculous.
Well, it's fucking over. They've now turned these guys face in this match.
Yeah,
New Day.
It's become such an absurd thing where now people are now chanting New Day rocks, which a year ago, I was in the building a year ago, or about a year ago, when they first won the tag team titles in Chicago, and people were like chanting New Day sucks. Like like this was like the worst thing in the world. They beat fucking Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, who were so over at the time. It was,
and Vince wanted him to be faces, you know.
That's the funny thing that people don't realize about WWE, and it's funny that people are amazed at that. You can't create baby faces. You just can't. You can try to bring people up as i.e. Roman Reigns. When you try to bring somebody in as a babyface and you tell the fans to cheer for somebody, they're going to instinctively boo. You have to let the fans decide if they want to cheer somebody or if they want to boo. And then you have to be able to play it by ear from there. That's what happened to the New Day. They played it by ear, they had fun with it, and the fans eventually turned them babyface because they were just so damn talented. It doesn't surprise me that the New Day got over. I've always been a fan of Big E. I think the guy has always been hilarious. I think Xavier Woods proved that he's the ultimate geek, which works. And Kofi has been able to kind of ride that precipice to an extent. So I'm glad that they're over. They're all really talented guys, and they all deserve it, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's the fact it's a shame where these guys haven't excelled further, but in the end, they're in a great position as part of the tag team division.
Mm-hmm.
They are
Could
the
we
tag
see a
team
title
division at
change?
this point. I
Yeah.
was actually saying the exact same thing. The way this is being positioned, this has upset written all over it, and I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't want it to end just yet. I like this reign keep going, and I want the New Day to win, but I wouldn't be surprised. So, what do you guys say?
I can see it basically be a situation where it's going to be an upset. I don't want it to be because I think the League of Nations are the driest stable I have ever seen. To the point they make Alberto Del Rio look boring.
But here's the thing, though. It's like all the stables right now, I seem to be copying the same models. People that would run together, coming together out, and actually working together. Right? Barrett, Sheamus, and Rusev, I bet all those guys usually run in the same social circle backstage, so they come out together.
Pictures on Barrett's and Sheamus's Instagram. They're sitting around having a pint.
Exactly. So, you put the social
thing
outcasts.
Is, I understand that, but they are as bland as a set of old man's balls. They're as bland as Hogan's sex tape.
It doesn't always work like the New Day, but it's when it works, it works.
Just think, right? You're the WWE champion. You get into the stable and you lose the belt effectively the night after getting into the stable.
Wasn't the League of Nations supposed to protect Sheamus?
Pretty much.
One job, guys, and you failed.
And that's the thing.
Spirit of Sin
Del
Cara.
Rio, I actually feel bad for the fact that Del Rio's in this stable because when he was with Zeb, at least he had some sort of purpose. Yes, it seemed nonsensical, but he had some sort of purpose.
But they were doing something. Mex America. Okay. Yeah. It was confused. A lot of people were like, what the fuck is Mex America? And then we're just like, oh, no, we're going to do this other thing. Yeah, League of Nations. Fuck Mex America.
Yeah, and it's... The thing about it is I don't like this stable. I think the stable itself needs to die. I think Barrett hates it so much that he's actually looking to leave the company because of it.
Well, I think Barrett was looking to leave the company.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much on his way out.
God, you've made me so bland and boring. I think it's time for me to fuck off.
I could do literally anything.
Contract negotiations are bad news.
I got myself over on the fucking internet, and you still freaking couldn't do anything with me. You fucking morons.
Pretty much.
The fact is, I could see them doing this just to say, look, the Nations, look how powerful they are. But I just don't want to see it happen. I think New Day are so over at the moment. They're more over to the fact they don't need the tag titles. But I don't
do need
the
the
League
tag
of
team
Nations.
titles.
I just don't think that the League of Nations should be the team that takes it from them.
Yeah.
I got to agree with Burhan on this. I don't know if Finn was the one that said it, but I can see a situation where the League of Nations wins it, if only because I don't think the New Day needs the titles, but the League of Nations needs the titles. There's nothing to them. If at this point they are they're kind of upper mid-card jobbers at this point. I mean, the only person that's really protected is Sheamus, and that's kind of just objectively you have to protect Sheamus because who the fuck is going to be the top heel in the WWE?
It's one of those things where with how protected that Brogue Kick was, and, is, when someone kicks out of it, it's a big fucking deal.
Look, I'm not a big fan of the League of Nations. I do think that they are as bland as they come. But if you're going to push these guys as some type of force, they need to have some credibility. And I think the New Day is going to be fine. I think if they do lose it, they'll be able to continue being entertaining and whatnot. But gun to my head, if I had to choose who's going to win in this one, I'm going to go League of Nations.
I'm picking New Day. Yep.
Brandon? Did we just lose Brandon?
Brandon.
I muted myself.
Of course you did.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going New Day just because I don't want League of Nations.
Yep.
I want to live in a world where New Day is still the tag team champions.
As long as we have that world, I'm living in a world where we're gonna see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I don't know how we missed that when we talked about Raw.
We did, but that is gonna happen. But let's wait until we know something because it's not official. But
right, but the setup
good.
Is there. I mean,
the
one night I had to be at work, and then all of a sudden,
Chicago. That being said, the main event of the evening, World Heavyweight Champion Triple H taking on Dean Ambrose for the WWE title. Now, this is normally where I would say I would love to see Dean Ambrose win the title, and I would.
Yep.
And then that would be great because it would
shake the fuck up of WrestleMania, and Dean would have to work twice.
Or I don't know. I would love to see a situation where Dean Ambrose holds a world title for a nanosecond, like briefly, but then Triple H gets his Reigns stuff back together and does like the Jericho screw job on him and takes the belt back, or makes the referee reverse the decision or something like that.
Yeah.
Just for that fleeting second, so that crowd in Toronto could pop for that moment, and then have it all taken away from them.
I mean, I popped for the moment when we thought Dean Ambrose won the title from Seth Rollins, but then Dusty finished.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Yep.
That being said, I don't think they're going to change the WrestleMania card.
No,
I just don't.
Triple H.
Thinking on our part.
Go ahead.
Wishful thinking on our part.
Yes, sorry. All right, now go ahead, Miguel.
I was gonna say it really sucks because if honestly if they wanted to do the babyface, if they were smart, they would have Dean win, and then they would do Reigns versus Dean Ambrose, and this is where you would have the double turn. Well, not so much double turn as this is where you would have Reigns finally turn and be the heel that he needs to be. And I honestly think a face Dean Ambrose versus a heel Roman Reigns could be a huge program. But that's not what they want to do. What they want to do is they want to stick to they want to stick to the plan, and the plan is Triple H versus Toasty Cena. That's who they want. They want long-haired tan Cena to be the main event of WrestleMania. And it's just a bitter pill to swallow because, honestly, they've done a better job building up Dean Ambrose versus Triple H than Reigns versus Triple H, in my opinion. And it really does suck that I can't buy into this build-up because I know where it's going to lead. It's going to be Triple H, and it's going to be really shitty. I don't know what to say at this point. I mean, does anybody who has any sort of foresight see Dean Ambrose winning the belt at all?
Nope.
Sadly, no. The thing is, as I said, I'm hopeful about it. I like the fact they broke the fourth wall with this situation, and they took note on the fact that Dean is so fucking over that they've just placed him in two feuds, especially now that Roman's nose has been surgically repaired, so they're giving that a little bit of a time to heal, to give
and missing all the big hotbed crowds like Philly and Chicago.
The thing is, the problem is with this situation is he's not over with the fans. And even when Stone Cold Steve Austin says, you need to turn the guy heel, I think you better listen. And that's kind of where the problem with the booking committee, they're so adamant about driving this thing through that they don't see that they've got... If
they've hit the brick wall and they're still trying to drive through it.
Yeah, they're just like literally just shoving him in there and it's bleeding at the moment. They're cracking bones at this point. But with Dean, he's a hotbed waiting to happen. All you need to do is pull the trigger on him and let this horse run. And I believe he's money. The problem being is that's not who they want. So we know how this is going to go. And we know that it's kind of the Bryan effect of he's just going to be jobbed again. They'll probably end up pushing him back down. I believe I saw an advertisement for a house show after the event where Dean was going after the IC title in a triple threat match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So
we shall see. So we think we're all pretty much in agreement that Triple H is going to win this match.
Is he fucking going over? Yeah.
But I mean, Dean Ambrose is going to give him a hell of a match. That's for sure. Yep. I think Triple H needs that too at this point in time to enhance his own brand value at this point, just by getting that Dean Ambrose rub. So that will be Roadblock. It should be interesting because then finally we're on the clear path to WrestleMania. Everything is going to come together. more so.
Should we talk about the kind of the backstage murmurings before we...
No, I'll save it for next week because I want to go home and go do stuff after this. So I'm gonna do an
Butt
Iron
stuff?
Shiek tweet. I'm gonna do some
right.
butt stuff. I got a very special Iron Shiek tweet of the week too. By the way, it's really not long form. You pretty much know where I'm going with this.
By the way, I just want to say one thing that I just saw on the Hogan versus Gawker trial. They said Andre the Giant was 520 pounds, but he was closer to 700 pounds that night. Hogan versus Gawker #. So
Yeah,
that's
okay.
That's what we can
Anyway,
see from that.
that's actually falls into my Iron Shiek tweet of the week. But
Go
play
for
the
it.
music.
Fuck him! I talked to him! I wanna know, are you the man or are you a fucking piece of shit? No good motherfucker! Fucking bullshit! Bullshit!
So Iron Sheik had a particularly interesting take on the whole Hulk Hogan Gawker media trial, and he took to Esquire to get this out. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is an open letter by the Iron Sheik to Hulk Hogan and Gawker Media. Dear Hulk Hogan, everybody know you the All-America. You the legend. You always try to eat the vitamin and say the prayer. You always put the fans first. Everyone knows forever, and I am the legend. And without Iron Sheik, there is no Hulkamania. I sell out the Madison Square Garden, and I did the honors for you and Mr. Kennedy McMahon when I could have broke your leg instead and paved the way for WrestleMania and New Generation. But one day you tell me, I owe you, Shaky Baby. I never see that day. I never see that payback. It's okay because I make it to the Hall of Fame for pay my due. This way forever I am the legend. Hulk Hogan, even though sometimes you play the half and half howdy-doody looking jabroni guitar player, still you are the one of the boys. Today the new generation don't know how to get the respect in the life. It come, it go. Nobody give a fuck about history. All care about what happens this second. That way I lose a lot of respect for people getting the cheap heat. Cheap heat is what you get from the easy way. You make somebody look bad, that is the cheap heat. This way I have the problem with the Gawker. The Gawker, you no good son of a bitch. You get the cheap heat. You don't respect the privacy. You have no class. You try to bury the people from the cheap heat. You are not the real. You are jabroni. You are the jabroni of the earth. Not even the $100 million save you from making the world a bad place. Syntax not aside, that sentence was great. You see what happens when you take the privacy away. I can't wait till I see Mr. Gawker. I suplex you. I put you in the camel clutch. I break your back. I make you humble. I make him humble. I am the legend. You will all see when you watch my movie. Everybody put me over big because I am no jabroni. # shake movie. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your Iron Sheik tweet of the week. That right there. Lovely piece of prose.
Fucking bullshit!
That was actually that was actually halfway eloquent, almost.
I know.
He has a
right?
way with words. I mean,
He has a particular way with words.
again, no Hulkamania without Cheeky Baby.
There is no Hulkamania without the Iron Sheik. So
And
that's your
there's
Iron
no
Sheik.
Sunny without anal.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh, I don't want to think about that. Now I got to go do something else. All right, plugs.
All right, Miguel, anything?
Not at the moment. I'm aside from if,
Get
if
Miguel.
you're in the
Hashtag
Listen,
give Miguel a job.
yeah, I'm
Who's
currently
to give
unemployed.
Magellan job?
Yeah, I don't know who Magella is, but
I don't know.
if you're listening to this and you happen to have a job that pays at least over $10 an hour, I'm willing to keep my options open as long as there's nothing that's being inserted. Either way. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You can get in touch with Mr. Burhan on that if anything.
Burhan.
Yeah, for me, guys, just I've got some stuff coming up. Not gonna say what it is as of yet. We will because
So secretive.
I am very secretive. Enjoying being a dad right now as well. So make sure that you have a look at that. And I was just saying, Miguel brings a whole new meaning to the word, sticking it where the sun don't shine, or where the sunny don't shine.
Oh, again, you're gonna beat that horse, man. Just beat that horse.
Into the ground, man.
Sunny references.
Beating that horse
galore.
into the ground. Beating that horse into the ground, bro. Nichols.
I'm over on YouTube, The Game Pegasus 187, Facebook, Nick Horaceck, Wrestling / MMA Revolution. Slamcast gets posted there every Friday night, Saturday morning, whenever if I can come up with a title quick enough. But whatever, I'm Instagram, Wii U, Xbox Live, Twitch, Pegasus 187. I'm all over the place. I'm the one producing this shit, editing it, and all going yada yada yada. Brandon, us out.
We love you for it. Again, you listen to one of my new podcasts, The Nerd Chronicles, over on the SoundCloud. We'll post a link for it in the descriptions below and all that other shit.
Yeah.
Check it out on Facebook as well. Their link will be there below. You can click on it. Premier Pals. At Premier Pals. At A Brandon Olive on the Twitter. No, that's about it, man. I'm going to go play some Twitch. Potentially play some Drunk Division.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So, happy day to me.
Yep.
Happy birthday to you.
The big 3-2. And I'm still struggling to hold these Gators down. So
he's more man than they can handle.
Thank you for listening to these podcasts. Thank you to my many co-hosts for putting up with my shit. Just thanks, I guess. So for executive producer Nick Horaceck, for Michael Burhan, for Miguel Leon, I am Brandon Liggan saying go forth and spread beauty and light, peace, love, and humpiness. Play my damn theme song. Yeah.
Just make sure that you superimpose Sunny screaming.
Oh my god. Just...
I'm going to edit it in, so.
Yeah, I was doing karaoke now.
Okay, sorry.